Have you ever made a decision in your life and then almost immediately you started questioning yourself? You choose something by your own self and then you started thinking, was that the right decision? You want to try something by yourself and then your mind says to you, what if I fail? You used to be scared, but then you decided, to finally take a step, at least for once. And then you look at someone else and you started thinking, maybe they are doing it better than me. And before you could know it, you are back, to the exact point where you actually started. And mind you, it is not because you weren't capable enough at all, but it is rather because you keep on questioning yourself all the time. Here is something that I really want you to consider right now. Maybe self doubt is not always telling you that you are not capable as you may think, because sometimes it is simply telling you that you are uncomfortable with uncertainty. Okay? And if you keep on waiting until you feel more, completely certain before ever you take any action in your life, then you may wait forever. So today, let us talk about how to stop doubting yourself all the time. Not by you pretending that you are fearless, but by learning how to trust yourself even when you don't have all the answers to the different questions that you have really been asking yourself in life. Let me share a pinch of myself to you. When I was much younger, I would, describe myself as a fear person. And so if I have a task at hand to do and it looks big to me, immediately I see the task. Or sometimes if I just imagine about the task that I am about to do, my mind will just cut and then immediately this thought will now occupy the whole of me. I can't do it or I can't do this until it got to the point whereby my husband back then, we were still dating. He said to me, every time you will say, I can't do it, stop saying so. And he will ask me, who told you that you can't do it? And how do you know that you can't do it when you have not even tried to do it yet? And then he will recite his favorite, poem when he was much younger for me that says, little by little says the thoughtful boy. Moment by moment I will employ. I will not spend all my time in play. Moment by moment I learn to know. So that really became the foundation that really helped me to always believe in myself that I can do whatever that I really set my mind to do. And in making sure that I get all my work done that I'm supposed to, I always share my tasks into smaller portions or parts to eliminate that fear and also to have the mind to always accomplish the task and then also for better results. And that is why I have shared this video into 12 smaller parts so that you can now have a better understanding of this video title, how to stop doubting yourself all the time. So let us begin properly with part 1. Self-doubt, does not always mean that you are not capable at all. Let us start with something that is very important. Feeling unsure does not, automatically mean that you are not capable. Now, I want you to think about the first time that you really tried something difficult in your life. I may guess you probably did not feel completely confident about it, isn't it? But the truth is this, You were able to learn as you go, but you made mistakes, you adjusted, and eventually you became better, isn't it? So, why do we sometimes expect ourselves to always feel completely confident before ever we can begin whatever we want to? We want certainty first, then action. But you know what? Life often works the other way around. Action creates experience, and experience creates evidence, and then evidence now creates confidence. And you don't always become confident and then take action, because sometimes you take the action and then the confidence follows. Part 2. You may be waiting for a feeling that will never come at all. Maybe you are waiting to feel ready. Maybe you are ready to start a business. Maybe you are ready to post the video. Maybe you are ready to apply for the opportunity. Maybe you are ready to speak up for yourself. Maybe you are ready to change your life. But what if that ready isn't actually a feeling that you really need to wait for? What if readiness sometimes means I am nervous, but then I am willing to give it a try? You don't need to feel completely prepared before you know you need enough courage to begin, because there will always be another reason for you to wait. There will always be another thing for you to learn. There will always be another possible problem for you to solve. There will always be another person who seems more qualified than you always. And at some point, the truth is this: you have to really decide that learning along the way is really acceptable. Okay? Part 3. Stop using other people's confidence as evidence against yourself. Now, this one can quietly destroy your confidence. I must tell you, to be sincere. If you see someone doing something that is successful, and the person is successfully doing it well, and instead of you to start thinking, how can I really learn from them? You rather think, I will never be good as them. But you are comparing your beginning to someone else's current level in whatever they are doing, and that is not fair at all. But you don't know how many mistakes that they have really made along the line. You don't know how long that they have really struggled along the line. You don't really know how many times that they really doubted themselves along the line. But what you are just seeing is the result that they have achieved, and not the process that they took before ever they reached that result that you are seeing. So instead of you to always use someone else's progress as a proof that you are incapable, please, I am begging you to always use their progress as information by you asking yourself, what can I really learn from what they are doing? But comparison says, I am not enough. And learning tells you, what can I really improve? So let us choose what? Learning. Okay? Part 4. Stop asking everyone else to confirm your decisions in life before ever you take them. Yes, this is very important, because sometimes self-doubt looks like you constantly asking other people what you should do in your life. You made a decision and then you ask 5 people if it was the right one or not. If someone agrees with you, then you feel so good about it. But if someone disagrees with you, then you are really confused again at that point. Of course, advice can really be valuable, but then we should listen to people who have the experience, okay? But mind you, There is a difference between seeking wisdom and then outsourcing your confidence. Okay? Now, you can ask for advice and still make your own decision, because eventually you have to become comfortable with saying, I listened, I considered it, and this is what I have finally decided to do right now. You know what? That is part of you growing up. Part 5, learn to trust yourself through your small decisions that you make in life. You don't build self trust through one giant moment, but you rather build trust through the small promises that you really keep to yourself. And so, if you say that you are going to do something, then you should just go ahead and then do it. If you say that you are going to practice anything, then you should just go ahead and then practice it. If you say that you are going to stop tolerating something, then you should just go ahead and then follow it through. Because every time that you keep a promise to yourself, guess what? You are giving your brain the evidence that I can really trust myself. And that is so powerful, because confidence isn't only about you just believing that I am amazing, because sometimes confidence is really you simply knowing that whatever happens, I will still figure out what to do next. Part 6, you don't need to know the outcome to really trust yourself. This is where I want you to look at self trust differently, because trusting yourself does not really mean you believing everything will really work out perfectly for you all the time in your life. But it simply means that you are actually believing that even if something does not work out for you in the way and the manner that you really expected it to go, you can respond in this way. Maybe the plan fails. Okay, you will learn. Maybe someone rejects you and it will really hurt you so badly, but you will discover maybe you make the wrong decision. You will adjust knowing fully well that self trust does not mean that nothing will go wrong again in your life. But you know what? Self trust is you really knowing that, fine, even though something goes wrong in my life, I won't abandon myself. And that is a much stronger form of what? Confidence. Okay? Part 7, give yourself the permission to make some wrong decisions in life. Here is something that we don't really talk about it enough, and this is it. You are going to make some wrong decisions in life, and the truth is, everyone does that at one point or the other in our lives. And so, in reality, sometimes you will choose the wrong opportunity, you will trust the wrong person sometimes, and sometimes you will take the wrong direction in life. Sometimes you will misjudge a situation. Sometimes when you experience all those things in your life, you don't have to, start panicking, or you don't have to really feel bad, because that is part of you being a human. Okay? Now, the goal is not for you to become someone who never makes a mistake at all in their life, but the goal is for you to now become someone who can actually make a mistake, but then learn from the mistake and then keep on moving. If you are terrified of every wrong decision that you have really made in your life, then you will eventually become afraid of making any other decision at all. And you know what? You not really making any decision again in your life can become its own kind of prison. Okay? Part 8, Question the thoughts and not your entire identity. When you make a mistake in life, I want you to be careful about the story that you tell yourself. Please don't go from "I made a bad decision" to "I am terrible at making decisions." You see, these two statements, they are so different. And so please don't go from "that did not work" to "I can't do anything again." Please don't go from "they rejected me" to "nobody will ever want me again." Because the truth is this: one event in your life that went bad does not have to become an identity for you. So instead, you should rather look at the situation critically and then ask yourself, what exactly went wrong? And please be specific about it, because when you are specific with a problem, then it can definitely what be solved. But you know what? Vague self-criticism can just make you to feel powerless. Part 9. Keep a record of your own progress. Here is something simple that you can start doing. Keep track of the things that you've successfully handled, and not just the huge achievements, but also the small things. Okay, they are very important. You don't have to look down on the small things. And so, a difficult conversation that you finally had is one. A fear you faced is one. A habit you maintained is one. A mistake that you learned from is one small habit. Something you started, something you stopped tolerating in your life, something you once couldn't do, but right now you can do it, is an achievement. But why? It is because when self-doubt gets loud, meaning you need an evidence. And so you can remind yourself that I have handled difficult things before, and so I can. I have learned before, and so I can keep on learning. I have improved on this or that before. And that really gives you something stronger than empty positive thinking, because it will give you the evidence that will silence your self-doubt forever. Okay? Part 10. Don't always wait for everyone else to believe in you before ever you can believe in yourself. This may sound uncomfortable, but you have to hear it. But then there will be seasons in your life when other people don't see what you see. They may not even understand your ideas that you have or that you tell them. They may not even support your decisions in life, and it is not because they are bad. They may think that you are just wasting your precious time, and so they won't support you. And the truth is, sometimes they may even be right about some certain things that they are telling you. So you have to make sure that you always listen to them, and then you should consider their own perspective. Okay, but don't automatically hand to them the steering wheel of your life. Okay, because you can listen to their advice without you surrendering your judgment to them. Because at the end of the day, my beloved friend, it is your life, and so you will have to live your own decisions. Okay, part 11. Self-trust grows when you stop abandoning yourself. I want you to just think about the times that you have really ignored your own instincts just to make sure that someone else is happy. Now, I want you to think about the times that you knew something wasn't right, but then you decided to stay just because you were really afraid of what the other people would think. Now, I want you to think about the times that you really waited, you really wanted to try something new, but then you talked yourself out of it just because you were really afraid of failing. And you know what? Every time that you repeatedly silence yourself, guess what? Self-trust can become weaker. So start small. Listen to yourself. Question yourself whenever it is necessary. But don't automatically dismiss yourself because your voice, really deserves a seat at the table of your own life. Okay? Part 12. Ask better questions. And so the next time that self-doubt shows up again in your life, please don't immediately ask yourself, what if I fail? But you should rather ask yourself, what can I really learn if this thing that I want to do does not work? Please don't ask yourself, what will everyone else think? But you should rather ask yourself, is this really aligned with what I actually want for myself in life? That is a question that is very important. Please don't ask yourself, am I good enough? But you should rather ask yourself, what can I really do to become better? And instead of you to start asking yourself, what if I make the wrong decision? But you should rather ask yourself, if I make the wrong decision, can I really adjust? I want you to know that better questions create better thinking. I want you to have this mind. You don't need to eliminate self-doubt completely in your life because that is unrealistic. Because even confident people, they really experience uncertainty in one point or the other in their life, and that is normal and fine. But the difference is that the confident people, they don't necessarily treat every uncertainty as a stop sign, and so they've learned to move while they are uncertain. So when self-doubt says to you that don't do it, you can say to yourself, maybe, but I'm going to learn more before I decide. When it says to you, what if you fail? You can say to yourself, then I will learn and then try again. When self-doubt makes you to say, what will people think? You can say to yourself, they are allowed to have their own different opinions about me and what I want to do, and I'm still allowed to make my own decision. That is self-trust. So if you've been doubting yourself a lot lately, then I really want you to remember this. You don't have to trust yourself because you know exactly what will happen next in your life. But you can, really trust yourself because you now know that whatever that happens, that you can actually learn from it. You can adjust, you can grow, you can start again, you can ask for help, you can change your direction, you can survive the disappointment, and you can keep on moving because your goal in life is not for you to now become someone who never doubts themselves again, but your goal is for you to now become someone who does not let doubt to really make every decision for them again. So the next time that you are standing at the edge of something new again, please don't ask yourself, how can I become completely confident before ever I do this or before ever I do that? But you should rather ask yourself, what is the smallest step that I can really take in order for me to prove to myself that I can really handle this, I can really handle that? So please take that step, then another step, and then another step. Because sometimes the truth is this: you don't build self-trust by you just thinking about yourself differently, but you rather build self-trust by you repeatedly showing yourself that you can really count on yourself. So if this video really gave you a perspective that you have not really considered before, then consider subscribing to Simplicity in Peak channel, because I want this channel to be a place whereby you don't just watch another video as usual, but you always, live with something like, for example, a thought, a question, a new perspective, and something that stays with you after this video ends. I love to hear from you in the comment section of this video. What is one thing that you have been doubting yourself about lately? You don't have to share anything too personal here, I must tell you. So, I will really advise you to just share what you are really comfortable with sharing, okay? And remember always that there is no shame in you being uncertain, because the truth is we are all learning how to trust ourselves a little more and a little better. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and don't forget to keep on growing. Don't forget to keep on learning. And remember always that you don't need to believe that you can actually do everything, but you just, need to stop assuming always that you can't do this or you can't do that. I will see you again in my next video.